Hello and welcome to today's webinar on private lending. I am Desi Arnaz, professional investor, and I'm excited to share with you guys the information today about how you can create passive income as a private lender. You see, we're going to talk about how you can move your inbox and create an income box from it. Some people call it mailbox money, and that's what private lending can provide for you and your family. To begin with, let's talk about the two types of income that we typically have available to us. We have active income and passive income, and I'm going to compare and contrast the two. Active income is income that requires you to go do something, like a job or a profession, or maybe run a business. Passive income, on the other hand, is income that comes in even if you don't go out and do something. For example, if you have a trust fund and you're a trust fund baby and you get a check every month from mommy and daddy, right? That makes you a trust fund baby. Well, you don't have to do anything for that money. What about royalties? Perhaps if you are an actor or you are a songwriter, you receive royalties as a result of work that you've done in the past, and you just receive those royalties far into the future. But for most of us, we're not trust fund babies and we're not celebrities, and so we wind up looking for other sources of passive income. The one that most of us are most familiar with is called interest. For example, if you put your money in the bank and you earn interest, that's passive income. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can create a larger source of passive income, because the objective is to move from active income to passive income. That's where absolute freedom is found. The problem that most of us face with obtaining and creating passive income is that we're busy, right? We have our jobs and we have our professions and we have our families and we have our hobbies and we have our commitments and our churches and all the other things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it makes it difficult for us to take the time to really look at what options are available to us for creating passive income. On the screen, you can see here that there are several things that I've identified as sources of passive income. From dividends to royalties to rental income, inheritance, deposits on your savings account, network marketing, business, and lending. Now, I've done everything on this list personally except inheritance, because there's nobody in my family that's ever left me anything. And royalties, because I don't really have the talents to warrant getting royalties after doing my work, for the most part, because I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't write music. So I'm really not in line to get any royalties. But what I did do is I did have a bunch of rental properties, and so I was collecting rental income. And I did that for several decades. I've also owned several businesses because I thought I could have employees go out there and do the work, and then I could still get paid. But what I found is that rental income and small business, I even did network marketing with Amway and prepaid legal. Those were not really passive income. They were better than some active income, but they were still I was still pretty involved in them. You know what I mean? They were more like a job that I happened to own. The only thing that I found that really gives me the absolute freedom to do what I want to do is receiving dividends or interest, right? And as a lender, as a private lender, you can receive interest at higher rates than you can get in dividends. And so I'm going to show you guys why lending is the source of passive income that you should be and that you may want to consider building for yourself. Private lending is an ideal investment vehicle for most people if you have any money available to you to lend. What is private lending? The way that I'm using it today? It's when a private individual owns a mortgage on real estate. You heard me right. When a private individual actually owns the mortgage. You know, we think about mortgages being owned by banks and mortgage companies. Well, they also sell those mortgages, and you can buy them and invest in them, and you can be the lender on a piece of real estate. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The concept is pretty simple. You can lend money. You can require collateral, and you can earn interest. So it's a simple concept. Warren Buffett says that you should invest in what you understand. And most of us understand lending much more clearly than we understand the stock market or the bond market or, commodities. because lending is a simple concept. You lend money, you require collateral, and you earn interest. And so my thinking is, why should this be so complicated and so complex? Why can't it be simple? Well, guess what? It is simple. And I'm going to show you guys just how you can participate in this lucrative but simple investment strategy. That's what we do here at ACI Legacy Group. We help people to create passive income through this simple strategy, but yet it's one of the most powerful strategies that's available. In fact, it's so powerful that it's the one used by banks right now to generate income for their own institutions. And it's what banks have been doing for decades, right? They lend money and they collect interest. It's just that most people haven't been doing it, but today that is an option for you. So I'm going to take a minute here and share a recent case study. I call this the Buckeye Beauty. This is an Ohio mortgage note that one of our clients purchased. It was a gentleman, he's 69 years old. He came to us because he wanted to create some additional income in his retirement years, right? He had money because he had sold his trucking company when he retired, and so he wanted to put his money to work. One thing I can tell you for sure is that a stack of money in the bank is nice, but it's not really very comforting. And I know it seems like a strange thing to say, but if you don't have a source of income, your biggest fear will always be, man, if I'm spending the money that I have in the bank, how long before I run out of money, right? And so the key is income, guys. It's all about income. If you have enough income coming in for the rest of your life, it doesn't matter if you have $1 million or $2 million or $5 million in the bank. That's irrelevant. It's all about how much income is coming in on a monthly basis, and does it support your lifestyle and allow you to do the things that you want to do as you live day to day. So that gentleman came to me and he wanted to put some of his money to work to create some income, and we introduced him to this property in Toledo. Here is the property itself. It's a cute little house. It's actually on a cobblestone street. I hadn't seen cobblestone streets since I was a child, but it's on a cobblestone street in Toledo, Ohio. A single family home. It's about 1,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms, right? The local real estate agent in Toledo told us that the property value was around $60,000. The bank indicated that the homeowner still owed $55,000 on the mortgage. So they have a little equity in the property. The homeowner was paying $450 a month. They had 18.3 years remaining to pay. It was actually 220 months is what they had left to pay. So over the next 18 years at $450 a month, it's projected that this homeowner would repay $99,000. Well, we were able to get the mortgage for our client for $49,250. That's a pretty decent deal for him, because remember, the people owed $55,000, so he was able to obtain this mortgage with a $5,750 discount, which is more than 10%. And at the same time, his money was earning an annualized interest rate of 8.75. Now that's a fabulous interest rate, the rate of return. I always say that 8 is great, as far as rates of return. 8 is great. Right now, banks are paying less than 2% in most cases, and less than 1% in some cases. And so 8 is really great. And he was getting, and is still getting, 8.75% on this particular note. Now, he didn't want to have anything to do with the note. He just wanted to be paid every month. And so he did ask us to join him in this note. And we have two options when people want us to participate. We can work for you as an asset manager for a small fee, or we can joint venture with you and actually own the note with you as a joint venture partner. He opted for the joint venture partner option. And so therefore, for him, this is completely passive. He doesn't have to do anything or think about anything. Every month, he gets his check like clockwork. And that's what he wanted, to help with his retirement. Private lending is safe, it's easy, and it's lucrative. And it provides passive income, as I've just shown you. Now that was an example of an existing mortgage note. When we say private lending, some people refer to it as note investing or trust deed investing. It's the same thing though, okay? I call it private lending because you are a private lender. In this instance here, he is the lender on this particular house. As far as the homeowner is concerned, he's their lender. But in addition to that, you can also originate a brand new note. We did not originate the note there in Toledo, Ohio. It was originated by a bank. I think it was Chase Bank that originated the note. We just bought the note. But in some instances, you can originate a note, meaning you are the first bank to actually fund the deal. You're not buying someone else's note. And that's one of the things that we do on a regular basis. Our company buys mortgage notes, and we like to buy notes in which people are not making their payments. We call those non-performing notes. In layman's terms, those are defaulted notes or past due notes, right? A mortgage note where people aren't making their payment. So I'm going to show you an example of one of those. Here is the case study of a mortgage that we purchased in Atlanta, Georgia. We call it our Georgia Peach. This house is the collateral for the loan. It was a little house just outside downtown Atlanta, single family home. The real estate agent in Atlanta told us that the property value as is was about $80,000. She said that if it were fixed up, it would be worth about $200,000. The area was low crime according to the police department. There were no taxes past due according to the county tax assessor. The title was clean according to the title company, and the area was a popular area and making a comeback. It was about 15 minutes from downtown Atlanta, and young people were buying homes in that area, fixing them up and living in them because they could get to work in 10 to 15 minutes. That's why the area was so popular. So I decided I would make an offer to buy the note. One other thing, the property was vacant as well. Now, here are the terms of the note. According to the bank that held the mortgage, the homeowner still owed $130,650 on their loan balance. Their monthly payment was $948.10. However, they had not made a payment in 2 years. And that was one of the reasons that the bank wanted to sell the mortgage. You see, when a person doesn't make a payment, the bank has an option to just foreclose and take the property. But if they don't want to go through that process, they can just sell the mortgage, get cash right now, and let the next lender foreclose, right? That's called a workout. Let the next lender work it out. This homeowner had 21 years left to pay on the mortgage. And that's known in the business as a non-performing asset. So this bank that we purchased this from sold this non-performing asset. I offered to pay $47,500 for the asset. Now keep in mind, I didn't buy the house. That wasn't what I was buying. I was buying the mortgage. The bank could not sell me the house because the bank didn't actually own the house, right? The house was owned by the homeowner. They just hadn't made payments in a while, and the bank hadn't foreclosed. Therefore, the bank was not in position to sell the real estate. So I offered $47,500 to buy the mortgage itself. I said, look, I'll pay you guys all cash. I'll take it as is, and I'll close in 7 days. The bank liked my offer, and they took it. But I had a problem. You see, I didn't have $47,500 cash available to me. And so what I did is I approached an investor that I knew had some money inside her self-directed IRA account. I also knew that she had lost 17% of the value of her retirement account when the stock market had taken a tumble. And she wanted to move her money out of the stock market and do something else with it. And so I shared with her that since she did have an IRA, she could make it a self-directed IRA, and then she could instruct her custodian to loan me $47,500. I told her I'd pay her 10% interest, and she liked that. And so she had her custodian inside her IRA fund this transaction, $47,500. I agreed to pay her 10% interest. I also agreed to give her 8% of the profits that I made on that mortgage note, if I made a profit at all. You never know on an investment, right, if you're going to make a profit, but you hope that you are. So I negotiated with her that I would not have any monthly payments to make. She didn't really mind that because the money was just going to go right back into her retirement account anyway. And she couldn't touch it because she was not old enough to retire. So she didn't care if she had monthly payments. She gave me 12 months to pay her back. And in order to protect herself, we created a brand new note and mortgage. You see, so she is still in the note business. She's a private lender in this particular instance. But she gets the exact same collateral that any bank would expect if they're going to do a mortgage. They want to have a promissory note signed by the borrower, and they want to have a mortgage which is recorded in the county where the property is located. And that's exactly what we did here in Georgia. So she was very, very safe, in a very safe position. Her money was not at risk. So here's what happened. It took us a little while, but we were able to finally track down the homeowner. They had moved out of the property, but one of the neighbors still knew how to reach them. After we spoke with the homeowner and offered them an opportunity to move back into the property, they indicated that they were not interested in doing that. And so they decided, we all decided actually, that it would be in everyone's best interest if they just signed the house over to us. That way we could avoid foreclosing on them, and they could go out and buy another house because they wouldn't have a foreclosure on their record. So they signed the house over to us. I listed it with my real estate agent in Atlanta. I listed it for $80,000, and within just 2 days or so, she brought me a cash offer for $77,000, and I took it. I had expenses in selling the property: closing costs, attorney's fees, realtor fees, and all that kind of stuff, right? $7,500 is what it cost me to sell that property. The whole process took 4 months, and I made a $22,000 profit. I was happy with that. That was a good deal for me. Let's see how it was from my private lender. Here's how she did. Remember, she loaned me $47,500, right? Well, she earned $1,583 in interest. That's 10% for 4 months on that money, right? In addition to that, she also got $1,760. That's 8% of the profit. So all total, she earned $3,343 in 4 months on a $47,500 investment. Now think about that for a second. Her retirement account grew by $3,300, and she didn't have to contribute anything into the retirement account for that to happen. I mean, that's pretty powerful, right? Now, if she does that consistently, her retirement account is going to be really, really very large when she's ready to retire. And by the way, she has done that consistently. She continues to invest with us, and she has now for, I think, about 4 years or so as a private lender. The return for her on this particular investment, when you look at it, is 21% APR, annual percentage rate. I mean, that is a great return on her money. 21%. Guys, that's the power of private lending, and that's why it's so exciting for me to share this with you. I know that we all watch those TV shows like Flip This House and all that kind of stuff, and it seems kind of sexy, right? To be able to go out there and buy an old ugly house and fix it up and sell it and make this big profit. They always show that stuff. But what I want you to understand is that that's the investor's role. I'm basically encouraging you not to be an investor, but in fact to be a private lender. And I'll share with you right now why I say that. As I said earlier, I've done both private lending, and I'm also an investor. But I love the private lending side a lot more. Here's why. In order to be an investor, I first had to learn and master the skill set of whatever investment I'm doing. Like if I'm flipping houses, for example, I have to learn how to flip a house. You don't just fall out of bed and go be a master house flipper, that's for sure. Then I had to put together a team of people and go out and find deals, which is one of the toughest parts of the whole thing, finding the good deals and making offers. I had to negotiate with everyone and meet with inspectors and satisfy regulators and manage the project and resolve all the problems and work with all the vendors and contractors and subcontractors and attorneys and real estate agents and title companies. I had to maintain all the financial records, pay all the expenses, and at the end of the day, when I finally do sell something, say I buy a house, I flip it, and I sell it, I get paid last. That's right. As the investor, everybody else gets paid first. The contractors get paid first. The title companies get paid first. The attorneys get paid first. The government gets paid first. Everybody gets paid first. And if there's any money left, I get paid. Now let's look at a private lender. Private lender. The first thing that a private lender needs to do is they need to review the loan request. Now notice I didn't say they have to prepare the loan request, because they don't. The investor is going to prepare the loan request and then present it to the private lender. Private lender is going to sit by their swimming pool, sipping on a margarita, and they're going to read the loan request and decide if they want to do the deal or not. If the private lender decides to do the deal, then they need to decide what terms do they want. In other words, how much interest, and when do they want the payments to be made, and how long are they going to give these folks to pay them back, and all that. They just decide what terms make sense. Then they provide protective paperwork. Remember, I mentioned that every lender that's doing a mortgage wants two documents. One is called a promissory note. That's where the borrower promises to repay the money. The other is called a mortgage or trust deed. And the mortgage is a document that says, hey, if I don't pay you back your money, you can take this house. So you need to have those two documents prepared, signed by the investor, and then you record the mortgage in the county where the property is located. Once that's done, you write a check. And frankly, you're done. You're done. That's what I love about being a private lender. You're done. Now you're in a real estate deal. You're going to profit from a real estate deal, but you don't have to go out and swing a hammer or deal with a tenant or deal with anything, because you're not responsible to the property at all. You're the lender. You're not responsible to any of the parties to the transaction. You're not responsible to the vendors or the regulators. I mean, this is just not anything you need to concern yourself with. You're not responsible for the taxes. All that's on the investor. All of it. And when the deal finally closes, guess what? You get paid first. That's right. The lender gets paid first. In fact, lenders get paid on mortgages even before the IRS gets paid. It's a pretty powerful position to be in. The investor does all the work, flipping the house or whatever, and you get paid on the same deal. And all you did was basically fund that deal. That's why banks don't flip houses, guys. Think about it. Banks are some of the wealthiest businesses in every city where they're located. Banks have some of the tallest buildings in every city where they're located. Yet they don't flip houses, they don't buy rentals, they don't build subdivisions. You see, banks understand that the money is in the money business. But I just want you to understand that not only is the money in the money business, freedom is also in the money business. If you would rather spend your weekends playing golf than working on some rehab of an ugly house, then you want to be in the money business, not in the rehab business. You want to be in the money business, not in the landlord business. This is the way to invest. This is the way real money is made. So you may be wondering, where can you find money? Well, let me tell you, money's all around you. This is America. Jeez, we're the richest country on the planet, the richest country in the history of mankind. And you're a part of this system. You may have equity in your home. You may have money in a retirement account. You probably have toys laying around that you can sell, right? Big boy toys, I call them. Maybe you have a motorhome or a motorcycle or a boat or whatever. Maybe you own a second home or a vacant lot someplace out in the middle of somewhere. You could sell it, get some cash. If you don't have enough cash, you can joint venture with friends. I know of several people that have done that. You know, someone gets together with a few other people, they each pony up $5,000 or $10,000, and then they're able to do some deals. After you've done enough deals, all of you will have enough money to go off individually. Or you can pull all your money and do bigger deals, right? I mean, that's the way this stuff works. If you have a way to get money from a credit card at a 0 or a low interest rate, that's not a terrible way to get started either. Think about this. If you can borrow money at 0 or 1 or 2%, and then you can lend it out at 8%, because 8 is great, right? And I showed you already that you can certainly get 8% plus as a lender. So if you can borrow at 1 or 2 and lend it at 8, hello, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that's a win. That's exactly what banks do, right? You deposit your money into a bank's certificate of deposit. They'll pay you today 2%. And then you go back to the very same bank and you say, I want to borrow some money to buy a house, and they're going to charge you 5 or 6%. And they're going to earn the difference between the 2% that they're paying and the 5 or 6% that you're paying them. And that's called arbitrage. You can do the exact same thing, guys. You can do it. But if none of these things apply to you, here's another option. You can take a second job and save the money until you have about 20 grand or so. That's what I did. I had to do it because during the last recession, I took such a big financial hit that I was literally out of money. And so I had to do something. Even though I was a real estate broker, houses were not selling very fast because prices were falling in 2008, 9, right? Prices were falling. And so people were saying, I'm not going to buy right now. I pay X amount of dollars for this property, and then next year it's going to be worth less than it is today. So people were not really buying very many homes. So I took a second job, and I was able to save about 20 grand. And that was the seed capital to get me back on my feet once the economy turned around. And guys, I'm telling you, it doesn't take that long. You may be thinking $20,000. Well, I made it in a year by delivering newspapers from midnight until 6 a.m., 7 days a week. I was out there delivering newspapers. I didn't like it. It sucked. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. I did it because I understood that you need to get started. You got to get into the game. But here's what you can do with $20,000. Albert Einstein said this. He said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. People that understand it earn it. People that don't pay it. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that was the message. And so if you have $20,000 and you're able to invest that money at 8%, because 8 is great, right? If you can invest that money at 8% and compound that money over a 30-year period, $20,000 will grow to $200,000. I mean, think about that. That's amazing. A one-time investment of 20 grand will grow to 200,000. You know, we run out here all the time and we spend $20,000 on a car and we don't think twice about it. Right? Well, think about this now. The next time you go out to buy a $20,000 car, realize that what you've just done is you've just really paid $200,000 for that vehicle because of the lost opportunity. Now that you know what to do with money. And if you don't have $20,000 and you say, well, I can buy a car because I've only got to pay $400 a month. Well, guess what? Pay yourself $400 a month until you have $20,000. If you can afford $400 a month, just for a while, drive something else. Something that you don't have to pay $400 a month for. And put that $400 a month aside. And once you have $20,000, then get started. You see, this is America. You don't have to be broke in this country. It's an option. So if you're running around broke, shame on you, especially now that you know what to do with your money. So I'm going to share with you a quick example and we'll wrap this up. An example of what you can do if you have equity in your real estate. If you're able to pull $100,000 out from your real estate's equity, today, a bank would charge you, a mortgage company would charge you probably 4.5% to 5% to borrow that money. But I'm just going to say in this example that you paid 6%. If you're paying 6% on 100 grand, that's $6,000 a year in interest, right? And since we know 8 is great, and we know you can put your money to work for 8% or more, if you put that money to work for 8%, you're going to earn $8,000 a year. In other words, you're borrowing it at 6%. Cost you $6,000 to borrow the money, and your money is paying you $8,000. That's a $2,000 a year profit. Now think about this. That's not like going to change your life, but think about this. We're talking about $100,000 in equity, money that's sitting there doing nothing for you. All you've done is shifted your resource from one spot to another. You still have the $100,000. It's just not in equity. It is in a private loan to someone right now, and you're getting paid $2,000 a year just for shifting your own money from pocket A to pocket B. You want to know why the rich get richer? It's because they get this kind of stuff. They understand it and they do it. They don't allow their money to be lazy, and neither should you. Your money should always be working for you. Always be working for you. The great thing about putting your money to work is that once it starts working, it works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It just doesn't sleep. It doesn't take vacations or sick days or coffee breaks, lunch breaks. Your money just keeps working. Your money is your slave. So let me share this little bit of information with you. I said if you borrow $100,000 at 6%, you put that money to work at 8%. Let's take a look at what that $100,000 will be worth in 30 years if you were to do that. Here's what it would be worth. It would be worth $1,093,500 in 30 years. I mean, isn't that just amazing? 100 grand. So if you're 35 years old now, you plan to work until you're 65, and you're sitting on $100,000 either in cash or in equity, and it's not working for you, then you literally are letting $1 million slip through your fingers. You know, you're letting $1 million slip through your fingers. Now, if you are, until today, if you didn't understand how to put your money to work at 8%, if you had come to me to say, hey, should I borrow against my equity? I would say, no, don't touch it, because you don't know what to do with it. You know, most people borrow against the equity in their real estate, and then they go out and buy a Hummer or a Mercedes or put in a swimming pool or something. To me, while that might make you feel good today, that's not the idea behind shifting money from one pocket to another. The idea is that you're going to put your money to work. Now, if you know what to do with your money, which you guys now do, then it's certainly fine to borrow $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, whatever you can get, $50,000, whatever you can get from your equity. You can borrow that and put it to work, as long as you're putting it to work for more than you paid to borrow it. So if it costs you 6% to borrow it and you lend it out at 8%, you're only making a 2% spread, but that adds up, guys. And the main thing is this: you're borrowing it at amortized rates and you're paying it back at compounded interest, right? That's how private lending works. It's not magic, it's just math. $100,000 invested at 8% will grow to $1 million for you, just like it will for Warren Buffett. So you've got to put your money to work. Now, in that example where you borrowed $100,000 at 6% and you paid it back amortized over the next 30 years, you're going to pay back a total of $216,000. Okay? That's fine. But still, you made $1 million because you put your money to work compounded. So you grew that $100,000 to more than $1 million. You pay back $216,000, you still profited $877,000. Think about this now. At the end of 30 years, you're going to have a house that's paid for, right? Which is good. Or you can have a house that's paid for and $1 million if you do this program. To me, that's better. Because most people, when they get to retirement years, they're happy to have their house paid for. I'm simply saying you can do better now that you know how. Most people don't know how, and that's why they're just happy to have their house paid for at retirement. And that's a good thing. I'm not putting that down. If that's all you know, that's all you know. But now you know better. So here's the question. Do you think you deserve the good life? Do you deserve to have the kind of lifestyle that can only be had when you have mad money coming in, massive income, and big dollars in the bank? Do you deserve it? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But here's one thing I do know. If you ask your family if they deserve it, they absolutely deserve it. Ask your kids, ask your spouse. They'll tell you, heck yeah, we deserve it. We deserve the very best. They just don't know how to get it. And so they need someone who can show them how to get it. And that someone can be you. And you need someone to help guide you through it. And that's what we do. You know, I tell people all you need is a guide and guts, right? And you can do anything. If you have someone showing you how to do it, someone who says, hey, step here, step there, don't step over there, don't go around that way, don't go left, go right. You have someone doing that, you can get anywhere. You just have to have someone who's been there, done that, who will take you by the hand and say, this is how you do it. Okay, so that's us. That's what we do. We will be your guide and help you through this. But you need to then take it to the next level. You need to step up and do it for your family. Do it for yourself. Every family needs a hero, a financial hero. That can be you. Every wealthy family in this country has one person that changed the financial fortunes of that family. They can trace it back to one person, every single one of them. For example, in the Kennedy family, you can trace it back to Joseph Kennedy, right? He turned the corner financially for his family. And to this day, his great-great-great-grandchildren still benefit from the decisions that he made when he was a man out there working. And all I'm saying to you is that you can be that person. Most people don't know what you just learned. Now the question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Here's what I can tell you for sure. It can change your life. It changed mine, that's for sure. Understanding this changed my life. But it's going to require that you do something. Now this guy, the name on here, Nate Kirkland, this is a guy that when I was 25 years old, he was 30 years old. We both grew up on the south side of Chicago. We were both born into poor families. But at 25, I was still broke. And at 30, he was a self-made millionaire. Something was different between us. And he shared with me that while he was still in his teens, he learned something. He said he learned this. He learned that if it is to be, it's up to me. He learned to be responsible, to be accept full responsibility for his life. I hadn't learned that. I was still going under the victim mentality. Poor me, woe is me. And he said, no, that's just not true. He said, life is fair. You just have to step up and understand that if it is to be, it's up to me. And so he decided for himself that he was going to not accept anything less than the best for himself. And he was going to work hard. And if he was going to do whatever he needed to do in order to succeed. And he did so. And at age 30, as a self-made millionaire, he went to St. Paul, Minnesota, and opened the first cable TV franchise. This was back in the early 80s. He opened the first cable TV franchise in that city. Guys, I'm telling you, if it is to be, it is up to me. It's the thing that changed his life, and it changed mine too. 5 years later, when I was age 30, I already owned a Century 21 franchise, a whole bunch of rental properties. I had 2 brand new cars, a beautiful home, lived right across the street from one of the Chicago Cubs. And, you know, I'm just saying how things can change once you accept responsibility and stop looking around and saying it's someone else's fault. Understand that it's totally up to you. You can do this, guys, especially with a guide. I didn't even have a guide. I had to figure it out. So I had to hit a lot of bumps in the road. If you got a guide to help you through it, you can avoid many of the bumps in the road. So anyway, that's what we do to help you guys. If you want to know more, if you find this intriguing, just as I did, then call us, talk to me. All of our contact information is right here. Go to our website, investbrilliantly.com. You can see there the assets that we have for sale. You can join and take a look into the note vault. In the note vault, we list the assets that we have for sale. If you want to buy a mortgage note. If you want to know about our joint venture program or our asset management program, then you'll need to call me. If you want to understand more about how this note investing stuff works, I suggest that you enroll in our free university, the Private Lending University, where I'll teach you all that kind of stuff. Okay? It's not rocket science, but there are some things that you should know. And so I'll be happy to share that stuff with you, that information with you. So that's it, guys. I'm really glad that you guys were able to watch today's webinar. If you have any questions or anything like that, reach out to me. In the meantime, just go out there and make it happen. God bless you. Again, I'm Desi Arnaz, professional investor, and I wish you and your family the very best.